Welcome into this weekend's Soccer Best Bets show as we look to uncover some value in Europe's top leagues for our soccer predictions this weekend. Before we get into it, it's important to point out that some of these teams could be looking ahead to their bigger competitions next week, the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League, such as Champions League games that are coming up next week, Arsenal and Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Man City, PSG, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Dortmund. We may steer clear of some of those teams this weekend in case they are looking ahead. Let's get into the three parlays for this weekend coming from 9 games in the EPL, the Bundesliga, Serie A, and Ligue. There is no La Liga this weekend, but there is the Copa del Rey final, which I've done a separate video for. You can find on the channel. Now, if you find this info helpful, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more soccer predictions. Parlay number 1 for me this week is in the Premier League, starting with Fulham and Newcastle. In 2 meetings this season, Newcastle has won 3-0 in the EPL and 2-0 in the FA Cup. They've had plenty of success versus Fulham in recent years, having won 5 straight and being 6-2-0 in the past 8. That could continue on Saturday too. Fulham just lost 3-0 away to Forest on Tuesday, and they drew 3-3 last weekend to Sheffield. They've now given up 6 goals to 2 of the league's bottom 4 teams in recent games. Newcastle have a 1-1 draw and a 4-3 win in this past week in their recent games. So they come in better form, but they too have conceded 9 goals now in 4 games and at least 1 goal in 10 of their last 11. But then they've scored in 10 of 11 as well, and they have 5 goals scored in their last 2 games. Fulham may be leaking oil on the back end lately, but they've still scored in 9 straight games for a total of 19 goals. They've only kept 2 clean sheets in that time, though. Both teams' score bets have gone 7-2. At home, they've kept back-to-back clean sheets and have only failed to score in 2 of their last 13. And Newcastle's EPL games see the highest goals per match in the league at 3.9. Both teams' scores gone 9-2 in their past 11, and an even both teams to score plus the over 2.5 has gone 7-4. This game to me looks like it has to be goals, probably both teams to score and over 2.5 if you wanted a straight bet, or simply both teams to score in case it ends 1-1 in this parlay. We'll pair it up with 2 more results from the EPL. Aston Villa and Brentford both see their games average over 3 goals per match. Villa 3.5, Brentford 3.1. For over 1.5 totals, Villa's 27-4, Brentford 26-5. That trend continued for Villa on Wednesday, losing away to City 4-1. There's been 2 or more goals now in 12 of 13 across all of their competitions. Returning home, it's a place that Villa has scored in 34 of 35 games at Villa Park. Villa could still, though, be without Ollie Watkins, but Unai Emery did rest several key starters during the week against Man City, so perhaps he could be looking ahead to this more winnable game here and could have some fresher bodies to play. That trend didn't continue with Brentford, that being the over 1.5 trend. They drew 0-0 with Brighton on a Wednesday. Prior to that, though, there had been 2 or more goals in 15 of 16 Brentford games, and both teams to score had been 5-0. In the last 3 years, with both of these teams back in the EPL, Villa is 2-2-1. Scores have been 2-1 this season, and then going back before that, 1-1, 4-0, 2-1, and 1-1. I think we at least see 2 goals in some way here. Maybe a Villa home win, but for the parlay, just over 1.5. We will also go over 1.5 with Brighton and Arsenal. Both played on Wednesday. Brighton drew 0-0 with Brentford. Arsenal beat Luton 2-0, and that came with resting Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, Declan Rice, and Jorginho. The latter getting subbed on later, though, in that game for a little bit of time towards the end of the game. Arsenal won December 2-0. Other recent meetings have been 3-0 Brighton, 4-2 Arsenal, 3-1 Brighton, and 2-1 Brighton. So there's usually goals between these teams. Arsenal owns the best goals for and the best goals allowed in the division right now, and they cannot be complacent with a very tight title race taking place. They should score and likely win. They've scored in 10 of 12 for a total of 36 goals in that time. Brighton have only 5 clean sheets this season, but they do like to attack, and especially at home, they will try to create their chances. At home in the EPL, they're undefeated in 12 games and have scored in 21 of their past 22 at American Express Stadium. Either way, they could contribute to the score sheet, or they could be opened up against Arsenal trying to attack and get scored on possibly multiple times. Arsenal has scored 2 goals themselves in 9 of their past 10 EPL games. So once again, one way or another, I see 2 goals. Let's go Arsenal, Brighton over 1.5, Villa and Brentford over 1.5, and both teams to score between Fulham and Newcastle to come in right at even money at plus 100. Parlay number 2 will be the Bundesliga in Germany, and there's a game, the later game on Saturday, Dortmund and Stuttgart, which could be the game of the weekend in Germany. It looks like at least. The only concern would be Dortmund having the Champions League coming up this week, but it is at least on Wednesday, so they will have a few days rest. And they also have next year's Champions League to consider as well, as they are fourth, just 3 points though ahead of Leipzig for that final spot. Stuttgart can put all of their attention on this game, and they sit third with 57 points. They're 4 clear of Dortmund. They'll want to keep that cushion between them as well. Both come in good form, Dortmund having won 5 straight, including a road 2-0 win against their biggest rivals, Bayern Munich, last week, scoring multiple goals now in each and having just 1 loss in their last 16 games across all competitions. At home, Dortmund only failed to score 3 times since going way back to June 27th, 2020 in all matches. And those games came against Man City, AC Milan, in the Champions League, and Bayern Munich. Stuttgart certainly are not the quality of those teams, but they are still good, and they have just 1 loss away to Leverkusen, who hasn't lost to anyone. That came in the Pokal, that being in their last 10 games. Stuttgart are undefeated in 7. They've scored multiple goals in 4 straight, and also in 9 of their last 10. It was 2-0 Stuttgart in the Pokal, 2-1 Stuttgart in the Ligue this season. And the teams drew 3-3 last season in league play, so surely Dortmund will be looking to reverse that trend this week. And the last time they played at Signal Iduna Park, Dortmund won 5-0 when playing at home. I see at least a goal coming from both here. Let's go both teams to score. Now let's move into Sunday in the Bundesliga. I want to make this easy, very similar to the strategy taken with the EPL parlay. Let's go Hoffenheim and Augsburg. It was just 1-1 when they last met this season, and last year's scores were both 1-0 for the home teams, but low-scoring games are generally rare overall for these teams. Only one Hoffenheim game has not seen 2 or more goals. It's happened in 26 of 27. Their games average 3.6 goals per match, and that's the 3rd most in the league. Only 3 Augsburg games have not seen 2 or more goals this season. 24 of 27 have. Their games average 3.2 goals per match. Hoffenheim in all competitions have only 3 wins across 19, so they are definitely slumping heavily. They recently lost 2-1, 3-0, and 2-1. Look at the Bundesliga alone, and they have the fewest clean sheets in the league with just 1 all season long, and that came way back in September. They have those scored in all but 3 games. Now, if we look back to that clean sheet, that poor stat in the clean sheet category, in fact, manager Pellegrino Matarazzo has only overseen 2 clean sheets in his time managing the team in 42 Bundesliga games. No other manager has a worse record in that category. Augsburg's form is great. They're 4-1-0 in their past 5. They've scored 13 goals in that time, and they have kept 2 clean sheets. But those are the only 2 clean sheets they've kept this season, that being the 2nd worst mark. This game could see both teams to score or simply over 1.5. And similar approach here with Wolfsburg and Gladbach, the other game going on Sunday. Only 4 Wolfsburg games have not seen 2 or more goals. It's happened in 23 of 27. Their goals per match dip just below 3 at 2.9. Only 3 Borussia Monchengladbach games have not seen 2 or more goals. That's happened in 24 of 27. And their games average 3.7 goals per match, the 2nd highest. Both have been awful this season. Wolfsburg snapped an 11-game winless run last week, where they had conceded in every game as well. They did, though, win 2-0 away to Bremen when they broke that losing streak. But Bremen did take a first half red card, so that win has to come with a bit of an asterisk. They return home here, but they have just 4 wins in 13. Gladbach lost 3-0 last week, and they are winless in 5 across all matches. They have 2 wins in 11 and 3 wins in 15. Away from home, they have just 1 win in 13 in the Bundesliga, and they have allowed 30 goals, which is right there about the same amount as Darmstadt, Mainz, Bochum for the league lows for goals allowed on the road. Oddly, Gladbach did keep a clean sheet away to Leverkusen this season, 0-0, but otherwise they've not done so on the road in any of their other 17 road Bundesliga games going back all the way into last season. Gladbach has won the last 3 meetings, 1-0 in extra time in the Pokal, 4-0 and 2-0 in the league, all at home. Last year at Volkswagen Arena, it was 2-2. That's where they'll be playing this time. I can see both teams to score here again, or at least over 1.5, especially when you consider Wolfsburg will be down 2 defenders in Maxime Lacroix, who took a red card last week, and Cedric Zagiger took a yellow card, giving him too many yellows. The yellow card accumulation sees him also suspended. Let's go for some goals here as well. Over 1.5 between Wolfsburg and Gladbach, over 1.5 between Hoffenheim and Augsburg. Both teams to score. Dortmund, Stuttgart coming in at minus 106. And we'll do one more parlay, and it's spread over the EPL, Serie A, and Ligue over Saturday and Sunday. Back to the Premier League here with Luton and Bournemouth on Saturday. Certainly with Luton sitting 18th, 7 wins, 31 games. Bournemouth being 11th. It's fair to make Bournemouth the favorites, which they are this week, even though they're on the road. They even have the extra rest, having not played since Monday. A 1-0 win over Palace, while Luton played Wednesday versus Arsenal and lost 2-0. Bournemouth now have 1-0, 2-0, and 4-3 wins, following a 2-2 draw and a 2-0 win. So we're undefeated in 5. They've scored multiple goals in 4 of those 5 as well. The winless run has now hit 11 games for Luton after Wednesday's result with Arsenal. But prior to that, they had scored in 14 straight games, so they're always competitive even if they're not winning. And they being shut out to Arsenal against the best defensive team in the league is not a surprise. Both teams to score bets had gone 10-0 prior to that Arsenal match. That's a trend that I think could come back here in this game. And at home this season, in all matches, Luton have scored in 16 of 18, but they've only kept 2 clean sheets in those games as well. These teams just played a few weeks ago, and we saw a wild 4-3 Bournemouth home win after falling behind 3-0 at halftime, and they stormed back to take the win. We should at least see a goal from both here. Let's go. Both teams to score. You could certainly up that if you just wanted a straight bet and go over 2.5 as well for the parlay. Both teams to score. And let's head over to Italy. One game in this parlay from Italy. Let's go AC Milan and Lecce. It's 2nd versus 13th. Lecce had an impressive 0-0 draw at home to Roma last week, but they now head on the road where they are just 1-6-8, and they've been outscored 23-11. Of their 6 wins, just 1 has come on the road. Still, despite just 2 wins in 14 for Lecce, they have only 1 loss in 4, and their games have been tight. 0-0, a 1-0 win, a 1-0 loss, and 1-1. But they do just have 2 goals scored now in 7 games, and that just might not be enough on the road to Milan. Milan is 10-2-2 at home. They've allowed just 8 goals while scoring 23. In all competitions, Milan has won 6 straight. They've outscored their opponents 14-5. They are 11-2-2 in their last 15, and they've scored a goal in 28 straight games. Lecce has caused Milan, though, some problems in the past. They did draw 2-2 in November. Last year, there was a 2-0 Milan win and a 2-2 draw. Before that, Milan won 4-1, and they drew 2-2. So Lecce has caused some problems. Even if they're not winning, they do often get a goal against Milan. But given Lecce's current lack of scoring powers and Milan's long run of scoring themselves and the home advantage, Milan could win this game. Should win by probably a couple. Let's just go Milan to win in this parlay. And we'll round it out with one game in France. It's Monaco and Rennes, Sunday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Monaco looks to remain in the top 3 and hold on to the automatic Champions League qualification, sitting on 49 points. Just 3 points, though, above 4th place Lille. Rennes are 8th, 39 points, hoping to get into the Europa League or the Conference League spots. You have to go all the way back to 2014, a stretch of 21 games to find the last time there weren't at least 2 goals between these teams. Monaco won 2-1 on the road in December, and that now makes both teams to score 13-1, and both teams to score over 2.5, 10-4 in recent games between these teams. Back to more recent times, though, if we want to just focus on this season, and Monaco is coming off a 5-2 win over Metz, and they are undefeated in 5 games. They've scored in all but 1 game in all competitions. That was against PSG, so no shame there, in their last 14. For Rennes, they are coming off a 1-0 PSG loss in the Coupe de France and a 2-0 Strasbourg Ligue 1 loss, but they are 12-3-4 in all competitions across their last 19, so are in good form. They have scored in 14 of 15 prior to those 2 defeats, but they have allowed a goal in 9 of 10, and the 10 that PSG loss is the only time a Rennes game hasn't seen 2 or more goals in their last 10. Both of these teams have gone 22-5 to over 1.5. So let's back that trend continuing and get some plus money in this parlay. Rennes and Monaco over 1.5, AC Milan to win, Luton and Bournemouth both to score, coming in at plus 142. That'll wrap up this weekend's soccer predictions. Check out the graphic at the end of this video to see the picks and parlays in a summary. You can see more soccer betting content on the Shred the Spread website, Instagram, TikTok, and consider becoming a member of the YouTube channel to show your support. And good luck with all of your bets this weekend.